Hi, this is Joe Evangelist, the owner of the People's Commish and your league commissioner. Thank you for watching Mo Money Tonight.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into this week's edition of Mo Money Tonight. As you can see, no Blake this week. I have to say it's great to be on my own again. So yeah, I'm doing the show solo this week. We got a lot of things to cover. Of course, I'm gonna get into some of the matchups from Week 9. I am also going to take a look back at some of the preseason predictions that some of you made, and then I'm also going to be doing a little bit of Dancing with the Stars judging. I'll explain that later, but first, let's start off with the Week 9 recap. I'll start off with my matchup versus Dan. It's the matchup of the week heading in. And once again, I pulled a Yamaji and fell short on this one. No Matt Forte this week. I feel like I should have just planned all my bye weeks in 1 week, taken a loss that week, and moved on. Because, I had AJ Green, who was injured. Then he had a bye, or before he had a bye. Nick Foles had a bye week, and then he comes back, and now he's hurt. Matt Forte was on a bye this week. It's a lot of things just not turning up for me, but that's fantasy football for you. Dan continuing his impressive run. He's pretty much. The person to beat in the league right now. Andrew Luck. What can I say? Hate the guy, but he is putting up just monster numbers. The number one fantasy quarterback this season, and Dan got lucky when he got him from Tom. So I feel like Dan's team is obviously a lock to make the playoffs, but I think I see him going a lot further. Just looking at his team from head to toe, he's got a lot of solid pieces. We'll see if he can keep it up through the playoffs. The next matchup is Blake versus Bert. This one was the battle of the 2 and 6s heading in, and Blake ended up winning.
Bert, you can go fuck yourself, nigga!
Not sure how. It ended up coming down to Phillip Rivers for Bert. Phillip Rivers ended up getting negative points, and as the saying goes, Bert could have started Jamarcus Russell, and he would have gotten more points. Still wouldn't have gotten the win, but Phillip Rivers negative 2.2 points. Obviously, you're not gonna win in any matchup when you're a quarterback who you think should be putting up the most points from week to week when he gets negative points. So he did have another nice performance from Antonio Brown, as expected. On the other side, Blake, DeMarco Murray had statistically his worst performance of the season, yet he still got 16 points. So that's not bad at all. I'll take that any day of the week. So Blake getting the win in this one, moving him to 3 and 6. A slight chance of him to make the playoffs still, but I wouldn't count on it. And then Bert, obviously, gonna have to start looking for next year. Looking at his team, I'm expecting him to keep Antonio Brown and Jimmy Graham as his 2 keepers. I really don't see anyone else that he could keep. Maybe Rashad Jennings if he comes back from his injury and plays well, just to keep a running back. But at this point, Bert would be foolish to keep anyone else. So moving on to the next matchup is Tom versus Yamaji. Tom really coming on strong here. I thought he would fall apart, but he just keeps on winning, and he actually has one of the best teams in the league right now. If you look at it, I mean, Andre Ellington, Marshawn Lynch, and Justin Forsett. I'd probably say he has the 3 best running backs in the league. Maybe Joe can give him a run for his money, but Tom getting to 6-3. Yamaji finally losing after that 3-game winning streak he had. Yamaji's not completely done. He's still 3-6, but I don't see him making the playoffs. It's going to be a struggle. Tom looking like he is going to make the playoffs. Really pushing for that division lead. So we will see what happens with that one. Let's move on here to Steve versus T-Rock. I was really counting on Steve to give T-Rock a run for his money this week, but Steve ended up putting up 80 points, which is just unheard of, especially for Steve, who historically has had a great team. I mean, it just goes to show, I feel like T-Rock's team, I don't think lucky is the right word to use, but T-Rock consistently wins by like 20. You know, he just does enough to win each week. Such as when Blake puts up 150.3, T-Rock puts up 150.9. When I put up 150, T-Rock puts up like 170. And when Steve only puts up 80, T-Rock puts up 116. So it's T-Rock 7-2, second best record in the league. He has a winning streak of 3 games now, and he's looking like he's going to make the playoffs. The crucial matchup is going to be in a few weeks when he has to play me again. That's going to be for the division. But I mean, regardless of what happens in that game, I still feel like T-Rock's going to make the playoffs. So Steve, once again, another 3-6 team. Not sure how he's going to do. We have a lot of 3-6 teams. I feel like there might be one that's going to be in it to the last week of the season. But there's a lot of the 3-6 teams don't look too threatening right now. Moving on to the People's Commish against Aaron Rodgers versus the World. Fader on a losing streak of 4 games. He plays me next week, which he'll probably win somehow with my luck. But Fader, he's not doing enough right now, and he's 2-7, definitely out of the playoffs, and once again, just having an abysmal season. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's complete bad luck for Fader, because he's made some terrible mistakes in the past, keeping Jermichael Finley over Antonio Brown and Fred Jackson and Pierre Garçon. I don't think anyone's ever going to let that down, especially me. I will never forget that. Just to let you know, Fader. I still have that reminder set in my phone. Every single morning when I wake up, I have to remind you of how much of a dumbass you are for choosing Jermichael Finley as a keeper. But one player I do like on Fader's team is Denard Robinson. I feel like he actually could be a keeper for the 3 weeks that he's actually gotten playing time. He's done well. I mean, 25 points, 18 points, and 21. He's looking all right, but I'm not too high on keeping running back on the Jaguars. Bert can basically vouch for me on that one. But I mean, looking at Fader's keepers, I think he's definitely gonna keep Des Bryant. And it's just whether or not he wants to keep Aaron Rodgers again. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, you can't go wrong with him. He's going to put up points every single season. So on the other side, yeah, Joe, who I said it preseason. Joe said it preseason. Tom Brady was I don't know if you could call him a sleeper pick, but he had a bad season. Joe ended up getting him in the 8th round this year. So I think, I expected that Tom Brady would rebound. But, the rest of the league didn't. I think I actually ended up taking Foles over him, which I was kind of stuck on. But looking at Brady's last season and looking at Foles' last season, I had to go with Foles. But Brady, number 4 ranked quarterback. He's got weapons. He's got LaShawn McCoy, Ingram, who's had 2 consecutive really good weeks for Joe. Those two running backs just add to Le'Veon Bell, who currently is the 4th ranked running back in fantasy. LaShawn McCoy is not having a typical season, but he's still ranked number 12. He's got a solid tight end, Antonio Gates. The only area of concern is wide receiver, but even there he's not weak. I look for Joe to go deep into the playoffs, and Joe the past few seasons has not had the best team, hasn't made the best moves, but I have to give him credit here. His team's looking pretty solid, and I don't think there's anyone that's going to stop Joe. Let's move on to the last matchup of the week, which is Nate against Brandon. This was the battle of the 500 teams. Nate finally ending his losing streak. Brandon pulling a Steve and putting up 81 points. He had a number of players who just didn't perform. Ben Tate, 9 points. Brandon Cooks, 6.8. Kelvin Benjamin, 3.8. Jermaine Gresham, 8.6. Those aren't numbers that are going to get it done. Nate putting up a solid week, 134 points overall, getting help from Jeremy Hill, who was filling in for the injured Giovanni Bernard. Props to Nate for getting Jeremy Hill, since he also has Bernard. But I think I look for Nate to win the division this year. I was kind of skeptical after that little losing streak he had, but with Steve and Fader both losing this week, he separated himself. That just about does it for the Week 9 recap. I will now move on into my next segment. We did not have any questions this week besides one stupid question from Blake. So I'm not going to be doing the Ask Alex section this week due to the lack of questions. But what I will do is I will take a look at some of the videos that were sent in earlier in the season. As you may recall, in my first video, I made some preseason predictions. Joe made some preseason predictions, as did Bert and Steve. We'll start with Bert. Bert drafted Toby Gerhart 9th overall, which I stated right away I wasn't too, I didn't like the pick. And, well, let's just see what Bert had to say on Toby Gerhart preseason.
Toby Gerhart getting the starting job. I think he's a workhorse, so glad I got him.
And then we have Steve, who his entire video was basically wrong. There were just too many to count. Let's check what Steve had to say preseason.
I'm feeling pretty good about my team. Definitely feel I'm a top 3 team. Could win it all this year. We'll see what happens. Feel the steal of the draft could have been Ray Rice. He's only out 2 weeks, so that still leaves him 14 games to produce, and he can be a top 10 running back. So if I can have Ray Rice with Kelvin, that's a very solid core. Feel like I could have the best team in the league. Definitely feel I have everything going for me to get back to the championship game and win it this year.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
Now, as for my bold prediction, I'm going to go with Fader makes the playoffs.
I will give it to Steve, though. He did mention that that he thinks that Dan is going to be the force to be reckoned with. But I mean, looking at Dan's team, you knew it was stacked preseason. But regardless, I think that I have to give credit to Steve for picking Dan, but that doesn't outweigh all of the ludicrous statements he had during that video. It's just too many to count. And lastly, we had Joe, and I'll also include myself. There were just a few statements that weren't really wrong, but they were just didn't turn out to happen or go the way that we thought. But for the most part, all of our predictions, especially Joe's, were almost spot on preseason. Let's roll the footage here on both mine and Joe's.
I think I got this, maybe the steal of the draft. Some of you might laugh, but Tom Brady, he's going to recover, have at least a decent season.
Joe picked Le'Veon Bell. Overall, I think that he is really going to be a star in Pittsburgh.
I do like T-Rock's squad. I really like Golden Tate. Golden Tate, I think, is going to have a really good year for Detroit. That was my sleeper.
Montee Ball, Fader, wasn't too sure of Montee Ball. I was very surprised to see Toby Gerhart go in the first round of the draft to Burt. As of right now, I'm staying away from anyone on the Jaguars team.
I'm a little skeptical of running back being Ryan Matthews.
With a common denominator.
I always love taking a look back at what was said preseason and comparing it to what actually happened. So it's great that we have video footage. I mean, Steve had a number of bold predictions. Just didn't turn out for him. And Burt, I just don't know where to start with Burt. But moving on to our last segment here. The last segment is you can call it Dancing with the Stars, if you will. But I am basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the NFL celebration dances that have occurred so far this season, and I'm going to be giving my score out of 10 on how well I think the dances were orchestrated. You know, ability, skill, I'll factor all of that in. Creativity. Let's see the first dance, which is in training camp. Peyton Manning, if you don't remember, he had an interesting dance in training camp. Peyton, I'm just not sure about those moves. I am going to have to give that a 4 on the DJ Mo Money scale. Just keep to playing football, Peyton. Just leave the dancing to your receivers, and we'll be just fine. Next, a trend that has basically taken over the NFL this year. We've had multiple occurrences of it, but I'm talking about the Shmoney dance. It's basically blown up Twitter, blown up social media, and now the NFL stars are even doing it. Let's take a look at a few of the Shmoney dances. So far this year.
About a week ago. Fuck with us and then we tweak away. Free breezy, ho.
And tell my niggas murder team out. About a week ago. Fuck with us and then we tweaking, ho. About a week ago. With us and then we tweaking. Run up on that nigga, get the squeezing. Everybody catch him. Got me on my bully, yo.
Man, a few good swing dances in there. Probably have to go with the best one. I mean, I have to go with Brandon Gibson. He didn't. He pulled it off, and Julius Thomas was so kind of has some quirky arm movements that the Cleveland Browns. I saw a few guys that just didn't know what the fuck they were doing. I thought I saw Blake in there, but I could be mistaken. So I'm gonna have to give Brandon Gibson a 9. Julius Thomas, gonna have to give him a 6.5, and then the Cleveland Browns, I'm gonna have to give a 5. But you know, it is what it is. Moving on to the next dance, we have William Gay, who after an interception did some kind of weird but pretty funny celebration.
Make it witty, bobble, make it roll, bobble, make it witty, bobble, make it roll, bobble, make it witty, bobble, make it roll, bobble.
I actually thought that was pretty funny. I'm gonna have to give that a 8. You know, just kept in rhythm. Didn't give a fuck about anything that was happening around him. Did it, I think, for like 5 seconds too long, which in this case was a good thing because I feel like it made the dance. But so I'm gonna have to give him an 8. Next we have Odell Beckham, who upon scoring his first NFL touchdown had another weird dance of his own. I'm guessing he must have been working on this for his entire life, just waiting for that first NFL touchdown, and let's see what he had to come up with. I mean, the dance was funny itself, but I feel like your first NFL dance has to be something special, and for his first NFL dance, it wasn't that great, to be honest with you. I'm gonna have to give Odell Beckham a 7. Still funny, but we'll leave it at a 7 for now. And then lastly here, we have 2 celebrations that did not go as planned. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. Let's see both of them.
Damn, son.
Stephen Tulloch and Lamar Houston, both NFC North teams, both tearing their ACLs out for the season, and obviously I'm gonna have to give Lamar Houston a 2 and then Stephen Tulloch a 1. The only reason I give Stephen Tulloch a worse is because he tried to imitate Rodgers with his belt celebration, and we all know what happens when you fuck with Aaron Rodgers. You're never gonna come out on top. So, all right, boys and girls, that just about does it for this week of the Mo Money Tonight Show. Good luck to all the teams out there. I know that there's a number of 3 and 6 teams still in the hunt, but none of them can afford another loss. And you know, we'll see which teams end up getting knocked out. And we also have a few more good matchups. We have Tom versus Dan. We also have Joe versus Nate. Both solid matchups. And we'll see what happens in those. But thanks for watching, everyone, and take care.